And we back.
Yeah.
We're finally back
He's back,
with
y'all.
another season. This is officially the start of season 2 of It's the End of the World. Unless,
Yes, yes.
unless I am your host, Tiana. I am also here with my co-host.
Skinny never skinny. You know, the one and only, the illustrious. You know what I'm saying? All that good stuff.
Illustrious.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Pulling on new words.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're back after a long
Hiatus.
necessary break.
Yeah.
Mental health and whatnot, which is
Yeah.
what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Perfect topic.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Long story short, we all fucked up. Go to therapy. Podcast over. I mean, what else do you need from me?
Yeah, it's that simple.
Therapy is, I feel like everyone should go to therapy, but so many people write it off just because of like what they've heard or because they had one bad experience or a handful of bad experiences. But like you said in a previous conversation, finding a good therapist is like dating. Like you have to like
You gotta
try on a few different ones and see
Yeah.
which one is like what you need,
Yeah.
and don't let that bad experience be your overall definition of therapy, because you're only self-sabotaging, in my humble opinion, if you do that.
I feel like I've had a few therapists before. I got the therapist that I have now. And the ones I had before made me, be like, nah, fuck therapy. Therapy ain't shit. But once I found the therapist that I have now, like she cool as shit. Like she really helped me like keep myself in check. Cause I got a big ego. I'm a very like I get in my own way a lot. So I need somebody to keep me in check and make sure I don't, just make impulsive decisions and shit. So yeah, that shit cool though. It's definitely worth it if you can get access to it. It's so many. The good thing about I guess times now is there's so much access to it. There's so many like apps and shit like that where you can get some type of somebody to talk to. Because a lot of times, a lot of people just we like to just depend on our friends to be like our therapist, but it's like they can't do that because they got their own lives and their own things to worry about. They can still
and
be there for you.
and the thing with an actual licensed therapist is they won't be a good one, won't be biased, when you're coming to them with your life stuff, like a friend will, whether it's in your favor or not in your favor, just because of whatever the circumstance. That therapist is going to provide like a really good outside perspective that I think is necessary and missing in a lot of communications, and that shit is vital, so you're not like so stuck in your ways.
Even with relationships, I feel like it's good to have therapy because I feel like sometimes when you get into a relationship, it's easy to get into this place where with your significant other where you don't really listen to them because you feel like everything is like a critique instead of it being like, okay, I made you feel like this and that's my bad. It becomes like, well, I ain't do it on purpose, or da. You know what I'm saying? You get defensive when it's your partner versus like somebody who's unbiased and kind of playing the middle could give you that like, well, how you think this feels? How you think this makes them feel? And then you kind of think about it like, all right. So I
People
think
also get so comfortable with their partners that they don't realize you have to continue to learn each other and how to communicate with you, because like everybody's constantly growing, but the point of a relationship is to figure out how to grow together in the most productive way possible. So a lot of people miss that too, and a therapist like I said, it'll just provide that outside perspective that when they say whatever the big revelation is, you're like, duh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Duh. Like a therapist doesn't even give you the answers to everything. They just ask you the questions to make you
That you have to
provide
ask
your own
yourself.
self the
Yeah.
answers, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just dope. Shout out to therapy. Proud of you for starting therapy,
Yeah.
restarting
Thank
therapy
you.
too. So glad that you're having a good experience.
Yeah.
But since we're like shouting out therapy and stuff, I just wanted to provide a couple links for people. If you have insurance, these two websites, Therapy for Black Girls and Therapy for Black Men.com for both of them, I think. Just try
Not I think.
.com. If not, it'll be like the actual website will come up. But they have like a little search filter thing where you can put in your insurance and they'll show the different therapists that accept your insurance. Um, so yeah, shout out to them. Therapy for Black Girls is how I found my therapist. And shout out to Dr. D. She is like the homegirl, you know, like it don't really feel like therapy when I'm catching up with her. It's literally just like me telling her, you know, what's the 411 and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then her just like affirming or like suggesting other things. And I'm like, you know what? You right, girlfriend. You right. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Take my money. See you in a month, you know? So yeah, check out therapy if you haven't, or if you have and you didn't have a good experience. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Definitely
Um,
give it a shot.
yeah, cause like I mean, this trauma shit. I mean, trauma is so overused now, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what else to call it. But
I mean, it's just a lot.
this trauma shit runs a long waves back, like
Mm-hmm.
before you were born, before you were conceived, before you were even a thought, my nigga. That trauma
Mm-hmm.
shit is
It's in your genetic code,
it's
you
in
know.
your bloodline, babe, for
Yeah.
centuries. For
Yeah.
centuries, because I'm not religious. I'm just spiritual. I believe in the ancestors, and I believe specifically that everyone that has come before you, that you come from, like in your family, they're still within you, and so you're carrying all of their good shit, but also all of their I don't want to say bad shit, but all of the not so good shit
Mm-hmm.
too, you know? So it's like you have that on top of the childhood trauma that's been passed down for generations until your parents passed it on to you, on top of whatever trauma you experience in your particular lifetime. So it's just like especially for black people, it's so much, dude. It's so much, and it's so important and vital in my humble opinion to be able to trace the behaviors back,
Mm-hmm.
identify them, and then figure out what to do from there, just so you can live a more quality life, you know,
Yeah. I
because
feel like
you're out here in the world interacting with people that have also experienced so much trauma and are coming from their own trauma. So it's just like everyone's out here traumatized and just traumatizing each other. It's
uh-huh.
like
Pretty much. Pretty much.
in black households specifically, I think even still this shit isn't talked about, but it's being talked about a lot more than it was once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, I feel like there needs to be a bigger conversation.
Definitely.
Um,
I think unfortunately a lot of things, and from what I've seen, with black households, a lot of things come down to just like it's either like you crazy or like just give them some like Ritalin or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like they kind of
but why?
misdiagnose
Why?
or
Why?
overdiagnose.
Why?
What do you mean? What?
Why
Why?
do you think those are the like main responses in black
Um,
households?
I don't know. I think it's a way to like kind of what's the word? I guess kind of like squash um the I don't know. I guess like kind of kill the childlike essence or just the like allowing kids to just be kids. It's like if they too hyperactive or they too busy, it's like just give them drugs. So just
Mm-hmm.
everything is like ADHD or ADD, and it's like nah, they just kids. Like they want to be stimulated other ways than just sitting at a desk, like
Or
it,
watching TV.
or playing on a tablet or some shit. So it's
So
like
yes.
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like
I'm so sorry. I'm so
I was like,
excited.
damn.
I'm so sorry. Let me let you finish. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Continue with your
um,
closing statement. I'm so sorry. Cut that shit off. Clean.
but
Goddamn.
nah, I just feel like especially with technology getting to where it is, um, I feel like it feels like the more access we have to technology or just to shit, it would seem like we would, I guess, kind of deal with our mental health better. But it seems like it's gotten worse.
Before we go into that, because that's a whole nother rant for
Hell
me, remind
yeah.
me to come back to that social media thing. But I kind of wanted to answer my own question too. So, like, yes, with people just writing, nurturing your child off as them being overreactive or over whatever the fuck and just, taking the easy way out. I think that people, even back then, so I can't even say the current generation, but just like for the longest time, and I'm talking about Black people specifically because I can't really talk about any other experience. I haven't lived it. But I think Black people just for so long have had no time to just simply exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, let alone raise a child. No, no. Have had no time to exist, have no time for themselves, let alone have time to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think way back when it was kind of like it took a village just because
Mm-hmm.
everybody had to work to the freaking bone just to keep food on the table. So it's like you be dependent on the Grammys of the neighborhood, and if your neighbor see your kid acting up, they could beat that ass and then send you home to get your ass beat again.
Mm-hmm.
But like people just don't have the time or the energy to give to their kids because they're having to dedicate it to survival.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, you got
they
parents
they they
working
they
three
they,
jobs.
they look at how kids have been treated for a while. Like you go to school, you come home, you do homework, you watch TV, eat dinner, go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
If you need more than that, sorry, I don't know what to do. So let me give you these drugs, especially because these professional people are recommending that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, just like go on a hike or something,
Right. Spend time with your kids.
like, um, I don't even want to make it sound that simple because I have empathy for the parents too.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
niggas be tired, bruh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Niggas don't have time, and the little bit of time you have, you just want to rest,
Right.
bro.
Because
You're
you
not
still
trying
gotta
to
have.
run around. You're not trying to hike.
Yeah.
Like niggas ain't trying to do that,
You still gotta have your you time. You still gotta have, because
And
it's
most of
like,
the time, it's not even that. People just want to be able to sit down and breathe after
yeah,
working so much. So
yeah.
it's I don't know. It's just
But I think a lot of time as a parent, you kind of give up. Um, Maybe not like on purpose, but like you kind of. And I'm not a parent, so but
But
just
come on with it. Come
but
on.
what I've seen, like it seems like you kind of give up yourself in order to take care of your child. Like
But
I
you
know,
shouldn't have to.
I know that, but I'm saying a lot of I've seen a lot of parents or just heard where parents would be like, I used to like this or I used to like that. I used to do this. I used to do that. But now they got kids, so they don't. And it's like the fact that you have to basically choose between like raising a child and like still being yourself is like that shit crazy. Like it
But
should be.
it's the way society is though. Like you as a human are specifically here to work and
Mm-hmm.
produce to make us more money. Anything else outside of that is not important, and good luck to you.
Mm-hmm.
We got these government programs and shit that make it seem like we're doing something and trying to help because we recognize yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, they don't do shit. They don't do shit. They make it extremely difficult to take advantage of these programs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it just leaves it once again to us to like get creative and work with each other and figure this shit out. But instead, when your child comes to you, or maybe doesn't come to you, if you're noticing things that are not normal in air quotes, you're just written off, or they just automatically label you as crazy and like, don't worry about them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, babe, no. People need help.
Right.
People need help. You need help, and your kid needs help. So
Mm-hmm.
what now? What you finna do? What you finna do?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go into that right now. Oh, but the social media thing. Yeah, social media would be a super great tool if the motherfuckers who made it and continue to like
Push the algorithm.
push it didn't make it as a distraction. Like social media is probably the greatest tool that has been given to us in the history of ever. Like for the first time ever, we're able to communicate with each other from across the world in real time. We're able to record these freaking crazy events, like niggas getting beat up by authority figures, and like post that shit to the internet. So it's not just he say she say. No, my nigga, there's evidence. Like it's such a great tool, but it's a really good distraction from how shitty everyday life is. And so the easy way out is to use it as a distraction and not put in the work to spend more time with your child and figure out how to give yourself more time and figure out how to, if not therapy, then somehow learn to communicate with each other. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but it always comes back to capitalism. Dude, I hate it so much, but like, I don't know. I'm really happy that within the past 5 to 10 years, the conversation has become more prevalent and more people are talking about it. I still think it needs to be a bigger conversation, but baby steps.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's come this far. About a year or something ago, I don't know. My dad, I was living in his place, but he had moved out to live with his partner. And he wanted to, just provide me my own space. But I think he came over for something while I was at work. I don't remember why. It's not important either. But he called me later, like while I was at work, so pissed off because the house was a fucking mess. And it was like, it's in the middle of a work week. Like, I'm not worried about keeping the house tidy in the middle of a work week. Like, I saved that shit for my days off, and I completely forgot that he was coming over. He told me he was coming over, but I totally forgot. And so he came over and saw the whole mess and threw a freaking fit. Sorry, Dad, I'm putting you on blast, but you put me on blast all the time, so whatever. Anyways, he threw a fit, and like when he finally got me on the phone. I think it's when I was off, and he was just like fussing. My mom had warned me too. She warned me on what I was about to get into because I had missed his first call, and so he called her just furious. She was like, "Girl, you need to call your dad," and I'm like, "What the hell?" So he's just fussing. And I literally just started like, I had a slight mental breakdown because I was probably That might have been the beginning of the worst mental health that I've ever dealt with in my life. And I was just like, bro, I don't know why I'm not cleaning consistently. I don't freaking know. And then, like, as I'm talking to him, I was like, it's because I'm sad as fuck. Like, I'm sad as hell. Like, it's hard for me to even cook for myself. It's hard for me to get, like, I'm literally an autopilot getting up and going to work every day. Like, I don't know which one to tell you. Cleaning the house is not high on my priority list right now. And he wasn't hearing me. Like, he just kept fussing about how the house wasn't clean. And I'm just like, and before I even got to the point of breaking down, I was like, I don't think we should have this conversation because I'm not in the right headspace and you're already like too upset. And whatever I say, you're just going to take it as an excuse right now. So I feel like we should talk about it later. But, you know, he's upset and he's just like, no, we going to talk about this right now. And I'm like, time to break down. And it wasn't until I broke down and like explain, I think even then he didn't get it. But I was like, Dad, you're not hearing me. You're not listening. You're just waiting to talk. You're not hearing what the fuck I'm saying. And so we got off the phone. He kept thinking I was making an excuse by saying that I'm depressed. But it wasn't until his partner, who deals with her own, like mental health, she definitely gets it because she deals with it herself. And he gets that she deals with it. Like, he understands from her perspective. He just didn't believe the fact that I was depressed because of when it was coming up, when he was confronting me about the house being clean. But I'm like, this is one of the signs. I'm normally a very clean person. Like, this is not how the shit usually is. You haven't fussed at me for not cleaning up in years. Like, that should be red flag number one. But he was just so zoned in on what he had already made up in his mind, So it wasn't until he went home and, well, he was already home, but it wasn't until he told his partner about the conversation we just had. She went and printed some information out and gave it to him and was like, you need to read this. You need to listen to that girl and take her seriously. If she is telling you this, you need to listen and not do the opposite of what you just did. So then he called back and we were able to actually communicate and, that, but it's like black parents typically, I think, just think that you're trying to make an excuse for why you're not doing this or why this is the way it is. And it's like, bro, no, if your kid is telling you some shit like that, you need to listen. Yeah. Most of the time people don't even want to say, I didn't want to say it, but he just like pushed me into it. But now in hindsight, I'm really, really glad that we had that talk, because like he'll check on me like, how's your mental, all that type of shit. I was like, oh, how cute. Thanks for being invested. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's a common response in Black households. And I just hope we continue to move away from that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, shout out to my dad. That's my homie. That's my homie. That's my bestie. Damn. Do you think mental health is getting worse with each generation?
I'd say so.
That's so sad.
They had a report that said, like after social media became like a thing, the number of suicides, like skyrocketed. And at this point, a person is more likely, just statistically, a person is more likely to kill themselves than kill somebody else. So just that alone, I feel like says a lot about just where we are, like as a whole mentally. Because I don't think it's just an American thing. I don't think it's just even though, me and you, we focus on, a black thing because we're both, black. I don't think it belongs to just, us as far as the thinking and the stigma around it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
And I think that a lot of people are just not okay. And I think what makes it worse is that I guess we've normalized not being okay so much.
Yes. is. I'm sorry. Say that shit. Run that shit back. Run that shit back.
I don't remember
Run that shit
exactly how I
back.
said it,
Run that shit back.
but we
Run that.
we
Rewind.
I don't remember exactly how I said it, but
We've normalized not being okay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see it just in the memes and the jokes we make. Like
Yeah.
we joke about killing ourselves, we joke about dying, we joke about like just all types of shit that it's like, why are we okay with that? Like, why is that funny to us? You know what I'm saying?
And I understand like humor is how some people deal with stuff, but some of this shit,
It's a cry for help. It's really a cry
yes.
for help.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's just yes.
yeah.
Yes. Um I mean, is there I don't know. I hate saying this because it's just such a pessimistic way of thinking, but I just with so many different topics, but specifically with mental health, I just feel like we're so far gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't even say how do we get back, cuz get back to what?
Yeah, it's like, what's the standard?
There's
What's
like
what's normal?
the bar is on the floor. The bar is in hell,
Yeah.
okay? Like it's just like
I think honestly at this point the only way you could really genuinely like, I guess, have some type of restart is to just completely erase everybody's ego,
mhm.
like, and just start over from scratch, because I think that's really what it centers around, is like, we, because of social media and like different, I guess, mass media as a whole, like we have certain ideas about like what we should value and what's important, like what we have in all the materialistic shit. I don't have this, I don't have that, so I'm not good enough, or I'm not making this much money, so I'm not good enough, or I didn't go to this school, or I didn't do this, or I don't work at this job, or da da da. And it's just constant like comparison, constant like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be because I saw this thing on Instagram, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be because my this person that I knew in high school is like a multi-millionaire now,
Mhm.
and now
Mhm.
I feel some type of way about my own life, and it's like,
Mhm.
we it's so much of a like, I should be here, or I should be doing this, I should be better, I should be this, it should be like this.
Mhm.
But it's like, who says that? Like, who's to say like your life is supposed to be like somebody else's, or you're supposed to be, in a certain place at a certain time? Like, I think, um just time, and just I guess like youth, or just age, is such a big topic all the time,
Mhm.
because I feel like everybody's kind of in this race, and it feels like we're constantly just racing against basically our own death, like
Capitalism.
yeah, trying to squeeze as many things into like working, and doing all the things that we're kind of required to do. And then we get one vacation out of 365 days, and we satisfied. Like, I get to take a trip to Jamaica for 7 days, and that make up for the other days where I'm working 12-hour shifts, and working, getting a 30-minute break and some shit. It's
Yeah. But I don't even think it's a matter of like completely erasing your ego, just shrink it, Like we're so
but does
The
that
ego is a very humanist, it's a very human thing
and
to
that's what I was
have.
gonna say. Do you think that complete, like, shrinking your ego? Do you think that, how can I say it? Do you think it's possible? Like, what if it's just a human thing that some people's egos are just bigger than others?
I think it is, but I think that's why it's also important to go to therapy. So you have someone to tell you when you're being a narcissistic asshole, when you
True.
have someone to tell you that you are being extremely insecure, and how do you expect to have any relationship, any healthy relationship with, it's like,
Counteract it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we're going to be human. We're going to have these human traits. That's
Mm-hmm.
just it's inevitable. It is what it is. But you have to learn how to live with them, with yourself, and then around other people who are also experiencing pretty much the same shit.
Mm-hmm. But that goes back to, well, I ain't gonna say goes back to, but I think one thing that I guess you hear a lot, or I guess one response you're gonna get is like, okay, it's not, especially here, um, you don't just get access to like therapy. We barely get access to like physical, you know, what is it? Like physical help. You know what I'm saying? As far as like going to the
Oh
doctor
yeah.
and like shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
like
when it comes to
medical
like,
assistance, yeah.
yeah. So when it comes to like mental shit, that's even like more like, I guess, difficult.
Because
It
some
depends.
doctors still don't even believe in mental health.
Yeah. So it's just like, I guess it's about like what you have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess to say like, okay, everybody should just like go to therapy, I think is it's the I guess it's the, I don't say the best answer, like it's the answer that I guess is the most straightforward. um but I guess for people who might not have access to that, it's like, all right, so what do they, what's the alternative? Because it's like, not everybody gonna have money to see a therapist, or not everybody gonna be able to, put their kids and themselves in therapy, or whatever the case may be. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more of a society thing, and more of just
Wait,
like,
what is therapy?
not saying like not being able to have access
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
more of like
yeah,
a, it's set up kind of like where
yeah.
that's a
Okay.
luxury.
Well, here, if you have a smartphone, but if you can't get therapy for whatever reason, but you have access to a smartphone, there's so many different apps. It's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than nothing. Like, even if it's just like start journaling.
I think the one thing that everybody has to remember with mental health, regardless if you got therapists, whatever the fuck you got going on, it starts with yourself. Like, you really got to take accountability for yourself. Like,
Yeah,
like
that's the key word.
no amount of somebody telling you about yourself or talking to you, or nothing is gonna change, like, if you're not willing to like notice um what's going on with you. Like, you got to be able to look at yourself and say, like, I do need help. Like, I do need to talk to somebody, or maybe I'm not okay, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to be like, I'm not okay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people aren't ready to face themselves, and that's why we end up in these loops where we like, why do I keep ending up in the same
Yeah.
situations, or why do I keep ending up? It's because you're not willing to deal with yourself. You're not willing to face
Yes.
yourself. So I think
Just keep trying to blame your shit on everybody else.
everybody else, and your past and your trauma, and it's valid. Like, your feelings are valid and your trauma is valid and all that, but it still comes down to accountability and just saying like, okay, I'm not gonna let this thing, whatever it was, like, make me kind of cynical. Like, I'm not gonna let it make me, lash out and hurt other people because I've been through some shit.
Listen to you.
Don't
Yes,
act like a crybaby.
King.
I'm still, the same shitty ass nigga.
No, you're not, my nigga, because that shit was so profound, bro. Like, goddamn, that was a really good point, actually. Like, accountability is the freaking key word.
It's real shit though.
People be avoiding themselves like a goddamn, I don't even know, bro. It's just so much easier to not. It's just
Yeah.
so much easier to distract
Mm-hmm.
and continue in those same loops, even though
Same
that's what's
patterns.
making you sad as hell.
Being comfortable is not always the best thing. That's one
Yeah,
thing I have learned. Like,
true.
yeah.
True that, yo. True that. And especially with this whole pandemic, bruh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bruh,
Mm.
bruh.
I feel like mental
I
health
mean
like plummeted
that
after
shit
that
has, yeah,
shit. After
literally,
that shit.
literally made people
But I think
on top of the grief
yeah.
and
But I
everything
think that
else.
leads back to what we just said. Like, a lot of people not ready to deal with themselves, and I think once you're forced to be in the house and you lose your job or whatever the case may be, and you kind of forced to be.
Or you
I
just
feel like
can't go out on the
yeah, you can't go
weekends.
like you used to. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like the pandemic kept a lot of people inside, and that forced a lot of people to have to deal with themselves or just deal with their situation. Um, and it taught a lot of people like, damn, like I really don't like being alone. Like I really can't be alone. And that is
That
a wake
silence
up
be too
call.
loud, bruh.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
silence be too loud. Thoughts be screaming, help!
Mm-hmm.
SOS! And you're like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
Hennessy.
I need to go to work. I need to go
Lots of
do something.
weed.
I need to go to the club.
I love weed, but weed can cloud your shit, bruh.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That's all I'm saying.
Definitely.
That's all I'm saying. Stop smoking for a day and just take note of how many times you get irritated over some super small shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not used to facing your emotions
Mm-hmm.
without that buffer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a tolerance break, if you smoke weed, is well, with any addiction really. If because weed, I think you can get addicted to weed, but if possible, I think a tolerance break is no, let's go back to weed. I'm not going to talk about tolerance break with anything else, but I think a tolerance break is necessary every now and again if you
Mm-hmm.
smoke weed like consistently. Um, just so you can understand yourself a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
because niggas don't even be knowing who they are, bruh. They
Yeah.
don't take that time. They don't take that time.
Mm-hmm.
And going through the world like it is right now, not knowing who you are, not knowing how to deal with your emotions, not, that's not the move.
Mm-mm.
That's not the move.
No, I say now more than ever, you gotta know yourself, because it's like the
Mm-hmm.
world is about to, like, the world always gonna give you like a million different images of who you should be, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
right now it's just like overloaded. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just the way
Mm-hmm.
that like the algorithms are set up, and like how you could say something like I want these shoes, and then you scrolling on Instagram and you see an ad for the same shoes you wanted that you were
Wow.
talking about, and it's just like the fact that we're at this point. Um, everything is just kind of like I feel like everybody's perception of themselves is so tainted.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so sad.
that a lot of people don't even know like what part of them is them and what part of them is like social media or just
Yep.
like outside influence.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, like you
Yep.
said, it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just urge people
Tolerance
to,
break from social media too. Like take a break
yeah,
from
because
that
that
shit.
is definitely an addiction. Definitely.
Yes.
I'm addicted to that shit. I'll be sitting and I'll check Instagram and Twitter, put my phone down, and then pick my phone up and do it again, even though it's 2 seconds. And I'm not even doing it intentionally. It's literally
Mm-hmm.
just muscle memory. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, what the fuck is going on? Who has the controller for my brain? Because it is not me.
It's
It's
Mark
literally like
Zuckerberg.
Facebook data, like shit, bro, like shit.
Like shit.
So yeah, bro, yeah, take some, yeah, yeah. You gotta take time with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Remember that I guess like what helped me a lot with mental health is kind of remembering that none of this is like I don't want to say none of it is real, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you want some like some
Yeah,
fake
yeah,
shit
yeah,
type shit.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like I don't know, like look at it really like none of this is really real. Like it's a lot of it is man made. Like at least the ideas and the boxes that we put on ourselves and the labels we put on ourselves, like they're man made. Like you don't have to subscribe to anything that anybody's doing just because we've like normalized it or said it's okay. Like
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's okay to just say like this is the life that I want for me. Like you don't have to want millions of dollars. If you cool making whatever you make and you got your family and you living somewhere and you making a good amount and you straight, like that's cool. Like be happy with the
Mm-hmm.
life that you pick. Don't chase the glamour and the celebrityism and all that shit, because it's like all that shit is just a trap to get you to most of them celebrities, they're not happy. Like they
Yep.
walking around every day. People taking
Got a big
pictures,
ass house and sad as hell.
all that, and just sad as hell because they can't be alone. They don't get no privacy. Their whole life is just broadcasted every day, and it's just like, is it worth it? Like, was it really worth it at the end to like have people cut you
Is it
down every
worth
day?
it? Did you work for
This is
my
not the
thing down
time.
for my I'm sorry, that's all I can hear.
But it's like, yeah, it's just like, it's not, none of that shit is worth your mental health for real. Like if you can find comfortability in whatever you're doing, like just do that. Like do
Yeah.
what make you feel free. Like
A
for real.
lot of this shit don't matter, bro. What
No.
does matter is the love of yourself and love of others.
Yeah.
And if we could all, I know it sounds cheesy as hell, but like that's literally what everything just boils down to
Mm-hmm.
is
Just love.
having and being able to show love.
Love
Um,
yourself, and then you gonna want to love other people. Like it's just that simple. Like you gonna want to love. You gonna want. You're going to want to give love out because of the love that you feel for yourself.
mm-hmm.
Like he said, like it
And
sounds
people are
easy.
going to want to give that love to you because they
Yeah,
see
because they
how
gonna
much
see
you
it.
love yourself.
They gonna see
But
it.
okay, hold on, because there's been a big thing on social media about this.
Okay.
Do you have to love yourself before someone else can love you?
Okay. So I was thinking about that. And I actually was talking to my therapist about it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I feel like you don't have to love yourself to have someone love you for who you are. But you do have to love yourself in order to correctly love somebody else. Because if you don't love yourself, you're going to spend a lot of time like projecting and trying to make up for the things that you don't
You're
love about
plucking nerves right now.
yourself.
You're plucking nerves like a motherfucker
You're
right
gonna
now.
have, like it's that it. I know we want to like be like somebody. I think we get the idea that somebody can love us out of our trauma, but they can't. Like your person can take care of you in certain ways, but at the end of the day, if you don't love yourself, it's gonna show in your relationship. It's
And
gonna
they could try and love you out of your trauma by showing you the way to love yourself out of your trauma, but if you don't pick up on that, I think it's inevitable that it's just going to eventually feel like a job
yeah,
for the other
they're gonna
person.
feel like they're trying to like save you from yourself, and nobody can do that. And eventually what's gonna happen is either they're going to leave you because it's gonna be too much work, or they're gonna stay with you but they're gonna end up resenting you because they're gonna feel like I could have done X, Y, and Z, but instead I'm here trying to teach you like how to love yourself. And don't get me wrong, like that's not me saying like somebody won't find you and be like, okay, I wanna be with you, like
Mm-hmm.
through your struggles and through your shit. But there's a difference between dealing with somebody while they're going through their thing and they're dealing with their shit, and being with somebody who's just gonna sit in their shit and say, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to be like, okay, I'm gonna love you because even though I see like I have bipolar, like I've been diagnosed with bipolar. So if I'm with somebody and I tell them, I tell women up front, like I have bipolar one, like these are my symptoms, da 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 da. If I'm coming to you and I'm telling you like these are my symptoms, this is what I have, and you say that's too much for me, I can't deal with that, cool. Like I'm not going to, be mad at you for that. But if you come to me and you say, okay, I can deal with that as I'm dealing with my shit too, like
Mm-hmm.
as I'm dealing with it myself, you come along and say, okay, I'm willing to stand beside you while you deal with it, then
Mm-hmm.
that is essentially the type of relationship that you want. Because I feel like a lot of people look for their relationship to solve the problems within themselves, but your relationship is supposed to be an attachment. It's not supposed to be your life. It's supposed to be supposed to be an extension of like your
Yeah.
happiness, an extension of your love, an extent. Like I love myself so much that I have some more to give to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to give somebody love that you don't have for yourself, you just end up taking from them. Like you're draining them in order to give them love back. And that just
Mm-hmm.
ends up with you draining more from them then they're able to give you, because they still have their own love that they have to give themselves. Because I've been in situations on both sides where I felt like I was giving more love than I was getting back, but then it was other situations where it was vice versa. So it's like you really feel it. Like when you're in a relationship where it's not equally yoked, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the people that get upset and say like you don't have to love yourself or da da da, like people could love you, that's fine, but you also have to think about the other person. You have to think about how you're affecting them, because yeah, you might be fine with, you know, kind of sitting in your shit and being um destructive and impulsive and all these other things. It's kind of like the people who are like, and I hate this shit so much when I see this shit on like what the fuck is it called, on like Tinder and shit like that. But
Mm-hmm.
when women especially say shit like I'm a handful, but that's why you have two hands or some shit like that, I
Okay.
think that's kind of like that logic of like I'm not gonna deal with my own shit, so you're gonna have to deal with me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's cute at first, but eventually after the initial fun of the toxicity wears off, it just
Mm-hmm.
becomes,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes lackluster. It becomes like annoying.
Niggas get
You
exhausted.
get exhausted, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like now I don't want to deal with you, because it's like I don't want to have to coach you on how to deal with yourself. So essentially, I feel like yeah, people can find you and love you for who you are, but ultimately, I think you have to think about the other person when you say like I'm just gonna be who I am and not try to grow. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be depressed and you know sit in that depression and sit in my, you know, whatever, and let this person kind of just drag me along basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
so if you're doing the self work, then I think yeah, like definitely like you could find love and like really work at that shit, but you really got to work at that shit. um
Can
but it
I ask
also,
you?
hmm?
Did you intentionally say I have bipolar instead of I am bipolar?
Well, I'm supposed to say, my therapist said I'm supposed to say I live with bipolar. I'm not supposed to say like I have bipolar actually.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Because I know language is very important too
Yeah, that's why I said that.
when
And
dealing with that type of shit. So okay, good to know.
hmm.
Good to know. Um, but yeah, I mean, I you pretty much said everything that needed to be said to that question, so I have no further comment on that specifically. um, amen. Preaching to the choir, but I don't know. Do you think that's a good? I feel like that's a good way to end it. Do you have any other thoughts or notes or questions or ideas or?
No, not really. I mean, I was just I was just, nah, I would just say like deal with your shit. Like deal with it. It's tough, but deal with your shit. Like don't be defensive. Don't be like, I know it hurts to have to like, it hurts to have to tell yourself that you're not the person that you thought you were.
Yeah.
Like when you think that you're just like, not nobody, I don't think anybody thinks they're perfect. Um unless you're like a
But
narcissist.
you do have
But
like a preconceived
yeah, kind of notion about
image or
who
notion.
you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of think that you affect the world a certain way, and that people around you kind of respond to you a certain way. So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody comes along and they kind of give you that shock of like, nah, this is actually who you are, or this is how you
Mm-hmm.
made me feel, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you don't want to take it because you like, you fucking up my self-image. But I think the one thing that you have to realize is that like self is in itself is not a thing. Like there is no self, because every day you're literally like evolving, changing, rearranging your priorities. Like things every day change for you, and you're allowed to I guess you're allowed to live in a paradox. Like you're allowed to wake up one day and say, I don't want to be the person I was yesterday. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can go about your day, and when people say, oh, well, yesterday you said it was cool, like today is not cool. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I'm moving
Yeah.
forward. And I think that's a lot of times people are afraid to kind of set that boundary. And that's another part of mental health too, is setting boundaries. It's a big part. Being able to like, let people know like, okay, I'm cool with you, but like this is where I feel safe for me. Like this is
Yeah.
where I kind of keep my bubble. Um
Yeah.
and having people respect that. But yeah, it really just goes back to like just understanding like you're allowed to just go with whatever you feel, whatever you think is right for you, like you allowed to go with that shit and don't
Mm-hmm.
let nothing make you question that shit. Um, your path is your path. Your parents might know some shit, but they've been wrong before too. Um, just I don't know, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself first, and then go with it. Even if you're wrong, it's like at least you trusted yourself over
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. Um, but yeah, that's it
Okay,
for me.
Reverend Skinny. Okay,
I tried sometimes,
goddamn, wrapping up the sermon and
You
shit.
know what I'm saying? Just pass that
Nah, that
plate
was
around.
good shit though. Ah, dead ass. Collection plate going around
Yeah,
now.
pass that plate around. You know what I'm saying? I need some gas
um,
money.
wait, what kind of gas?
Both shit.
For
Yeah, whatever you try to get, donations.
real though. Nah, that was real shit. I literally have nothing to add. What am I even here for?
I don't know.
Fuck you, dighead. But I feel good about that.
Yeah,
I think we're good to leave it off here.
yeah, I like that. That's a good little. Yeah.
Go to therapy. If you can't go to therapy, look at yourself in the mirror for 5 minutes every day and have a conversation. Get to know yourself. Figure
Meditate.
out what figure out what the hell is up, what the hell is down, and like what's going around and around, and just
hmm
start there.
And trust yourself.
Yeah.
If some feel like you need to get rid of it, don't go back and forth. Don't you know what I'm saying? Whether it be some greasy ass fuck nigga or some job that you hate, if you feel like you need to let that shit go because it's fucking you up on the inside, like
Mhm.
let that shit go. Figure it out. Figure it out
Mhm.
afterwards. I know
Mhm.
it's easier said than done, but like your mental health gotta come first because you can't do shit else if your brain ain't working right. Like nothing else gonna work right. Everything else gonna be fucked up too. That lead
Amen.
to stress, heart attacks, all that type of shit, cancer,
Hello,
everything
hello,
come from your mental
hello.
health.
Because
So
it's not just coming from the food, baby.
nah,
You
it's
self sabotaging.
you
I
got
ain't
people
lying.
having strokes at younger ages all the time now because we all stressed out. So take care of your brain, man.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Yes.
Amen, Reverend Skinny, who
Yeah,
passing
you
the
know what I'm
collection
saying.
plate around
You know
now.
what I'm saying.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We're finally back in this
We back,
bitch.
bitch.
We finally back in this joint, and we'll catch y'all for episode 2.
Yeah. Adios.